Why? Oh, why? Well, there's a simple answer. Because they can. My name is Andrei. I'm the founder of Trademark Factory, and in this video I'm going to share my thoughts about yet another trademarking screw up. This time around, it's Monster Energy opposing a trademark that's not at all similar to theirs. All right, I'll start by reading from the article, and you can always find the link in the description below. Monster Energy opposes teenagers' trademark application over logos not at all similar. Monster Energy. The company's name is enough to set the average Tech Dirt reader's eyes rolling. The company that makes sugar-heavy energy drinks has become essentially a caricature of an overly aggressive trademark enforcer. Now, before I go any further, I've done quite a few videos based on articles from Tech Dirt, and you would know that typically I'm very critical of their delivery, of their approach, because they don't really like people enforcing their intellectual property. They feel that it's somehow bullying for business owners, for brand owners to enforce their brands. This video may be a rare exception when I actually agree with what they have to say. But let's keep going. The habit is somewhat surprising, given just how often the company loses lawsuits and oppositions, which one would think would be a deterrent for future behavior. Instead, it almost seems as though every loss only spurs Monster Energy on. This continues on to today, when we learn that Monster Energy filed an opposition to a 21-year-old's trademark application for his business, Monarch Energy. You're probably thinking that the opposition is over the name of the young man's company, which would itself be a stretch as trademark infringement, but no, it's over the kid's proposed logo. At age 16, Mason McGuire discovered arthritis in his lower back. The mountain biker, baseball player, and motorcycle rider wanted to stay active without aggravating his newfound aches. 1 year older, the Forest Charter School graduate decided to start his own business to mitigate his problems and hopefully ease those of others. While taking a business course at Sierra College, the words of one individual continued to ring in his head. My teacher kept saying, "You'll never learn it until you do it," he said. So he did. But on July 30th, McGuire received a letter that stunted this company's development. Monster Energy filed a notice of opposition against his company, Monarch Energy, for violating trademark rules. Specifically, it said McGuire's logo was too similar to Monster's. Are the logos similar? No, they damn well are not, right? So if you look at these two logos, they are not similar. They're not just not confusingly similar, they're not similar, period. The only thing similar here is the layout, the overall layout. You got an icon at the top, then you got a word that starts with an M, and then you got the word energy at the bottom with a smaller font. All right, so here let's keep going to the article. Other than the fact that both logos incorporate the letter M, and both companies list their names below that M, there is little to nothing similar about these logos. The names of the companies, both prominently displayed, are different. The fonts are different. The styling around the letter M is different. The rest of the trade dress is different. Are people going to be confused by these two company logos? No, they absolutely are not. And yet, this 21-year-old has had to deal with this opposition before even getting his company truly off the ground. Despite maintaining distinctions, McGuire said he was a bit nervous Monster Energy would file a claim against his company because of Monster's history of filing lawsuits. so he tried doing his due diligence before choosing the logo. I made sure to go over the rules many times that wouldn't infringe with Monster, he said, but he later said he suspected the large energy company might intervene legally anyway. Maguire acknowledges that there is no trademark police per se, meaning that Monster Energy must be aware of smaller businesses trying to exploit its brand. But, he added, the company can drop the court filing once it realizes an entrepreneur is not acting in bad faith. I don't care too much that they're going after me, he said, but Maguire, who has yet to hire an attorney, said he could lose his business with the possible legal fees needed to combat Monster Energy. He also said he can't afford a new trademark to change his logo, for which he already paid. Monster Energy doesn't have to care about the harm it's doing, of course, but it certainly should, especially when this is yet another example of an opposition that never needed to be filed. But because Monster Energy wants to play the bully, the young man that started the business might lose it. All right, so I agree that this opposition is totally unnecessary and very unfortunate. It has nothing to do with the fact that the Monarch trademark is filed by a 21-year-old. Right? It makes for a good story or a good sub-story, but that's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the difficulties that the young man had to go through before he started his business. That's irrelevant. I mean, again, it makes up for a nice story. It has nothing to do with whether Monster is being a bully or not. What matters here is that the marks really are not confusingly similar. And what matters here is that instead of trying to resolve the situation, which is really easy in this case, they decided to go all the way and oppose, knowing full well that the gentleman would probably not have the resources to fight this all the way. And that is the problem, because the standard for filing the opposition and showing that you have interest in opposing somebody else's mark, that standard is very low. You don't need to do much for your opposition paperwork to be accepted by the trademarks office. And when you do oppose somebody else's mark, the other side is now put in the situation when they bear the burden of proving that their trademark application would not damage the opposer and that it would not break any laws, that would not violate any rights. And if they don't respond, then their trademark application is just going to be thrown out of the trademarks office system. So now it's easy for someone to file the opposition papers, right? It doesn't cost much, and it doesn't take too much work to show that you got interest in this. And now the new trademark applicant needs to go to their attorneys, find the resources, find arguments for this trademark going through. And because the brand owner chose not to go with our ultimate package, which covers the oppositions as well, they were placed in a situation when they had to decide, do we fight the opposition, which will cost us quite a lot of money, or do we just drop the brand? And some of them actually had to drop it because they didn't have the resources to pay for the work that would go into fighting that opposition, right? Which is why we refer to opposition proceedings as an atomic bomb that almost never goes off. Opposition proceedings only happen in less than 1% of the cases. They're very rare, but when they do happen, they tend to be extremely expensive. So I do understand why all-inclusive is our most popular package and it doesn't cover oppositions, whereas Ultimate does cover oppositions. Obviously it's more expensive and it's less popular among brand owners who go with our services. But that's exactly the risk that you bear, that somebody might oppose your brand, even if they're wrong. Even if they have no case, they can oppose your mark, and if you don't fight back, you will lose. So that's the lesson here, that you got to be prepared. You have to do your due diligence, as this gentleman did. If there's one thing I would recommend, it's too late at this point, but he knew that the names are different. He knew that the icons are different. If there's one thing I would change here, is the word energy. That the layout together could give Monster the upper hand in this. Although, again, I don't think it will boil down to attorneys fighting this through, because he might not have the resources to pay for it. So that's the lesson, right? Always know that there might be somebody out there who's going to oppose your mark. The chances are, the risk of that is very low, but when it happens, it tends to be a problem. And the other lesson here is that sometimes those who oppose your brand don't really have a case, but they might have a lot more money and they'll be able to pull this through anyway. I hope you found this video useful. If you did and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now and get notified whenever the next video goes live. We post these videos every day. Like it, comment if you've got any comments or questions. And if you got a brand that you want to protect, go to trademarkfactory.com and book your call with one of our strategy advisors. They'll be able to walk you through our different packages, about the difference between all-inclusive and ultimate, and you'll be able to go with a package that best fits your needs, best fits your budget, and best fits your risk tolerance. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.